What happened to your home?
There is no home left.
The shelter smelled like burnt coffee and floor cleaner. And Veyra had never found anything more confusing in her 11 months on Earth. She sat in the plastic chair closest to the door. Always closest to the door. And watched the human woman behind the intake desk shuffle papers for the third time without reading them. A nervous habit Veyra had learned. Humans did that. They touched things when they did not know what to say. The woman's name tag read Donna. Donna looked down at the form and said, "So, it says here you've been staying at the transitional housing on Meridian Street?" Veyra answered carefully. "Yes." Her voice came out flat. Precise. Controlled. English was her fourth language. And her least favorite. Too many exceptions. Not enough throat sounds. Donna nodded and shuffled the papers again. "And you're originally from?" She squinted at the form. "I'm sorry. I don't know how to pronounce this." Veyra looked at her. "You don't?" Donna froze. Veyra added, "No human does. It is fine." It was not fine. But that was a feeling she kept behind her sternum. Tucked between her secondary heart and the place where her grief lived. By now those had become the same place. Her planet had been called Shevari Nol. In the common tongue of her people, it translated roughly to, the place where the light returns. It was named for the way their twin suns rose each morning from opposite directions. And met at the sky's center like two old friends finding each other in a crowd. Veyra had watched that sunrise every morning of her life for 32 years. She had not seen it in 14 months. She would never see it again. Shevari Nol had been loud. Not loud like Earth cities. Not engines. Not sirens. Not traffic. It was a living loudness. Insects in the silver trees. Wind moving through hollow branches. Distant water running past her mother's house. The soft call of morning creatures when the twin suns touched the center of the sky. Veyra remembered the river most clearly. It curved behind their home like a line of light. Her mother used to say the river remembered every footstep. Her brother used to laugh at that. Her sister used to tell the children not to throw stones in it. The whole world had been ordinary once. And that was the cruelest part. Destroyed worlds were easier to imagine as legends. Shevari Nol had not been a legend. It had been breakfast, arguments, clothes drying in sun, someone calling your name from another room. Donna clicked her pen. "Okay, let's get you set up with some resources. Do you have documentation of refugee status?" Veyra slid the folder across the desk. It was immaculate. Every page in order. Every translation stamped. Every approval form clipped cleanly behind the last. She had organized it 3 times the night before. Not because it needed organizing. Because organizing was something she could control. And control had become the only thing she did for pleasure anymore. Donna opened the folder gently. Veyra watched her hands. Humans touched paper differently. Carelessly, sometimes. But Donna was careful. Veyra noticed. She noticed everything now. The exits. The coffee smell. The lights. The way Donna's mouth tightened when she read the number of survivors. 112,000 evacuated. Out of 9 million. Donna did not say anything. That was kind of her. The resource room was small. And somehow smelled even more aggressively of coffee. There was a folding table. 6 chairs. A community carafe. Paper cups. Pens. Forms. And a whiteboard that said, "You belong here." Written in blue marker. Someone had clearly written it with tremendous hope. Veyra found it both touching and absurd. She was not the only one there. A man named Tomas sat across from her, filling out a form with the focused misery of someone who had filled out 10,000 forms and expected to fill out 10,000 more. A teenage girl sat in the corner with her knees pulled up, earbuds in, staring at nothing. Her jacket was too big. Her eyes were very old. Beside Veyra sat an elderly woman with white hair and trembling hands. Her name was Ruth. Ruth stood slowly and poured coffee from the community carafe. 1 cup for herself. 1 cup for Veyra. She did not ask. She simply placed it in front of her. Veyra stared at it. On Shevari Nol, gifts between strangers required a spoken exchange. A balance. An acknowledgement of debt. But Ruth only sat down beside her and wrapped both hands around her own cup. "You look like you haven't slept," Ruth said. Veyra considered lying, then decided she was too tired. "I do not sleep well in silence." Ruth waited. Veyra looked at the coffee steam. "My planet was loud," she said. "Insects went. The sound the trees made." She stopped herself. She had not meant to say any of that. Ruth's voice was soft. "What happened to it?" Humans asked that directly sometimes. Veyra had noticed it came from the ones who had lost things themselves. They did not circle around grief. They sat beside it. "A stellar event," Veyra said. "A cascade. Our primary sun began to destabilize. We had 8 months of warning. We evacuated 112,000 people." She paused. "There were 9 million of us." The room grew quiet. Even Tomas's pen stopped moving. Veyra did not know why she continued. Maybe because Ruth was looking at her the way the coffee had been offered. Without asking. Simply present. "I was on the 4th transport," Veyra said. "I watched from the upper port window as we cleared atmosphere. I could see the cities. The valleys. The river that ran past my mother's house." She looked down. It looked very small. The whole world looked very small. From the upper port window, Shevari Nol shrank beneath her. Cities became patterns. Valleys became shadows. Rivers became silver threads. The place where her mother's house stood became too small to find. Behind Veyra, the transport was full of people trying not to make noise. Children held blankets. Parents held children. No one knew what to say when survival felt like betrayal. The twin suns burned strangely in the sky. One bright. One trembling. Veyra had pressed her hand to the glass. As if distance could be argued with. As if the ship might turn around if she wanted it hard enough. But the transport continued upward. And her world continued shrinking. Until it was not a world anymore. Only a shape. Then a light. Then a memory moving away from her faster than grief could follow. "I am the only member of my family who got out," Veyra said. "My mother refused to leave. She said she had lived on that ground and she would die on it. My brother stayed with her. My sister's children were too young to survive the transit, the doctors said. And she would not leave them." Veyra's jaw tightened. She realized she was gripping the edge of the table. "I argued with all of them. I said terrible things to my mother. I said if she truly loved us she would come." Veyra's voice became smaller. "Those were the last words I said to her." The teenage girl in the corner took one earbud out. Tomas set down his pen. Ruth did not look away. Not once. "I used to think the worst part was the watching," Veyra said. "Standing at that window. But it is not." She finally looked up. "The worst part is that I have no grave to visit. There is nothing left. There is no place in any galaxy I can go and stand and say she was here." The room did not move. Even the city outside seemed far away. "The light from where my world was will travel for thousands of years before it goes dark. Somewhere out there, right now, that light is still moving. But there is nothing at the end of it anymore." Ruth made a small sound. Not dramatic. Not loud. Just the helpless sound of someone being given something too large to hold. Then Ruth began to cry. Veyra stared at Ruth. She had not expected tears. Not from a stranger. On Shevari Nol, grief was private. Shared only between bonded family. And even then mostly in silence. You did not weep in front of strangers. You especially did not weep for strangers. It would have been considered an intrusion. But Ruth was not intruding. She was doing something different. She was standing at the window with her. Tomas reached into his jacket and produced a folded paper napkin. He placed it quietly on the table between them. That small gesture broke something open in Veyra's chest. Something she had spent 14 months building closed. She did not cry loudly. Her eyes simply filled. And this time she did not stop them. The tears moved down the unfamiliar angles of her face. And reached the table. The teenage girl had both earbuds out now. She watched Veyra with an expression that was not curiosity. It was recognition. They sat together in silence. A Shevari refugee. A Central American man. an old woman named Ruth, and a girl who had also survived something. The room still smelled like burnt coffee. The lights still hummed. Outside traffic moved. The city went on being loud and alive and indifferent in the way living cities are. But inside that small resource room something had changed. The folded napkin lay between them. The coffee cooled. The papers waited. And the whiteboard behind them still said, "You belong here." For the first time, Veyra did not find it absurd.